Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth chat, discussion, analysis of every single Premier League match week and Champions League as well. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and this is what we've got coming up on today's episode. Manchester United shocking defeat in Istanbul. Chelsea going top of Group E after their win against Rennes. Man City and Liverpool both cruising to comfortable victories to remain perfect, and a preview of Sunday's big match between City and the Reds. That's what we've got coming up in today's show. Okay, Robbie Earle. Let's start in Istanbul. A very young football club. Big underdogs for this particular Champions League group and this match at home against Manchester United. Now, they came out on top 2-1. We know that Man United this season, particularly the last few weeks, has been a rollercoaster ride of some impressive performances, particularly in the Champions League, I have to say, with two great wins before this. And then letdowns in the Premier League. This was a letdown, Rob. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about this online of what we saw. Give us your kind of the main thoughts of this match and what the fallout from it's going to mean.
Well, the Manchester United were playing, who are debutants in the Champions League, yet to score in the Champions League. I just did a little bit of work is due, you know, well, Başakşehir here, I think the name's in Turkish football, 7th in the table, won 3, lost 3, drawn 1. So a bit above average Turkish side of and I have to say it with all the due respect, with people now, some ex-Premier League players who wouldn't get in the Premier League anymore, Mustoe, Demba Ba, Raphael, and the great Manchester United, a team that some would, you know, should be thinking about winning competitions like this, were amateur in their performance. Amateur is what I'm saying, and I use that one because I was speaking to my daughter earlier today. She was telling me how the UK is going in lockdown for a month. Professional sports still continuing, so we know the leagues and everything. The amateur football, so where my boyfriend plays, is shut down. No amateur football for a month. Well, we got amateur football in the Champions League for Manchester United today, mate. I mean, the two goals conceded, Rob, are inexcusable at professional level. Never mind Premier League. If you see the space that Demba Ba has from a Manchester United corner, I mean, it's a sackable offence, by the way. It's a sackable offence, Robbie Mustoe, at this level of football. If that was your U10s, if that was your kids playing U10 football and they let their main centre forward have a free run from his own half without being picked up, no one in front, no one behind picking up, you'd be going crazy, man.
I mean, listen, it's just not just me and you saying this, and I've got the same headline on my notes straight away. It's like, what level is this? I mean, this is something we used to see in our kids play. My two boys played at U10, U12 level, where the ball gets smashed up front and there's nobody around him. I mean, it is remarkable. You know, in terms of how that happens, I really don't know, Robbie Earle. We were pros for nearly 20 years. And if there's one thing that we had drilled it, well, not even drilled into us, it was just a given that set pieces, it was a short corner for United. You know, whatever they leave up, you have an extra guy. So one behind, one in front. One behind. If they leave two, there's two behind, one in front. One in front.
The rhythm, Rob, is, and listen, whether people have played professional football or amateur football or what, as you're taking your corner to score, you always, the two things are, how we're going to score, what we're leaving at the back. So as you're doing it, you go, oi, there's no, go on, you stay back or whatever. There was none of that. You saw Twanzebe and Maguire flying forward. You've got the short corner with them guys up. You've got Matic, who's in front, who starts to go towards the penalty spot. Give them even more. I mean, so again, Rob, and I have to come with the crux on this one because the two goals were shocking. Okay, given. The performance was an awful lot better. And I just want to go. I was trying to look at United and say, what is it, pal? Just in the play, you know, Bruno Fernandes. I'm trying to say, how can he go from the player he was to they can't get him on the ball, they can't get him influencing games? And I just started to watch Manchester United. I thought, do you know one of the things that is at odds with this team? What makes him a little bit awkward? And the guy on the ball is almost not in coordination with the people ahead of them. So it doesn't connect. There's like a disconnect, Rob. It's really funny. When I watch them, I was trying to think, why is it that they're so difficult to watch? It's like the guy, Luke Shaw gets it. And in certain teams, these 2 or 3 places that ball's going to go, and that's going to trigger 2 or more, and it's a knock-on effect. With Manchester United, that doesn't happen. And I have to go back to the question, why doesn't that happen? Why does Demba Ba now? Is it a bit like Roy Keane said, always jumping at the players? Or do we have to eventually look at the management? If that's Jose Mourinho, Rob, just quickly on the side of the pitch, every time his team get an attacking free kick, the first thing I ever seen him doing, I remember seeing him do it at Chelsea back in the day, he organises at the back. He doesn't care about the free kick. That'll take care of itself. We trained that. He makes sure the back door's shut.
Yeah, and so there's 2 different points you've raised there, Rob. And the second one, we've talked about it. It is inexcusable. Nemanja Matic, I don't understand for an experienced champion player that must sense the guy kind of drifting forward and was okay with that in a situation where the possession wasn't 100% secure. Even then, by the way, as soon as I see somebody, I'm like, oh, I can't go. I've gotta, and somebody come, obviously that's the one part. The other part, the first point you made there, I'll tell you why, because for many, many weeks now on the show, I've talked about United being a really poor build-up team, right? Build-up. So the plan, kind of the structure, the spacings, the movement, the philosophy of possessing. I looked at this game, Rob, for many for large periods. United couldn't even do it against this. And then what happens when they're not good at that? The other team are actually pretty good on the ball. Then you become a counter-attacking team. And it's simple to say it, but you're only a counter-attacking team, Man United, because you can't possess well enough. You can't build up.
It's not a choice. It's not their choice.
It's not a choice. Absolutely right. And that is sad, because if there's one club that should have enough talent and ability in the coaching department and the playing department to get good quality footballers, is United. And I mean, the second goal is not a lot better. I'm not sure we need to talk about it, but I look at Luke Shaw again, the philosophy of trying to play out that Mata got caught on the ball, which happens, and yet Luke Shaw is like a left winger position. So the goal comes in, and I'm like, when I first saw it, it's like, oh, where's Luke Shaw? Where's left back? And then you see it again, and he's way up the other side. Again, expecting United to keep possession of the ball, but it wasn't secure. Let me throw to the interview artist with the manager. And of course, I understand that some managers are comfortable with the press, and there's different personalities. But I'm going to quote you what he said when he was asked about the first goal, Rob. It was something like this, like, we forgot about the man up top, and that's unforgivable. Now, it is unforgivable. And it was on their short corner. We forgot about the man up top. Who else would put it like that? Answer me that question. What other manager that you ever know? We forgot about the.
Forgot.
Would you hear Klopp saying that? Would you hear Pep saying that? Would you hear Mourinho saying, "Oh, we forgot about"?
If my son's under 10 coach said, "I forgot about the guy up top," I'm going to have to say, listen, after the game, pull him and say, come on, mate, you got to do a bit better than that. You're giving a free goal away. I mean, it's inexcusable, Rob. It's inexcusable. And listen, I got cut to the chase on this one, because I don't know if you saw, there's lots of clips on social media. Mauricio Pochettino was in the Sky Sports studio on Monday doing Monday Night Football, and looking great, looking relaxed, looking focused, saying he wants to get back in football. He was analysing the Leeds and Leicester game, but he was obviously talking about what he's done. He's relationship with Bielsa, that he's looking for the right football project now to get back in. I mean, we're at this stage on, we've got to cut to the chase. Mauricio Pochettino's ready, rested, available, going to cost you no money in a time when you might have to go and wrangle somebody out of the contract. Feels like it's time, mate. It feels like it's time.
Listen, we've agreed on this for a long time, Rob, that if we were director of football or had any kind of power at the club, that would have been done a long, long time ago. I've got to say that. And just on the same thing, Rob, when I look at the club now, and I made just a few notes about my general thoughts, the club is drifting, Robbie. It's drifting, right? There's no sense of progression. There's no sense of improvement or development. There's no inspiration, I feel, right now. Remember I said a couple of shows before, like there's always been something at United over this kind of lifted them. Bruno Fernandes, Pogba coming back, and Rashford coming back from injury from lockdown, and then they go on a run, and then they level off and they kind of go to a uninspired level. Now, I hope I'm wrong, but it feels like that they've entered it now, and this is all, by the way, on the back of him saying we've got our form back. So if that doesn't tell everybody that he's flying by the seat of his pants, and whatever you get is the result of the team that he throws out there, and not necessarily his excellence in the coaching side of it. Now, again, PSG and Leipzig and different performances, very good. But the matchup helped, I feel, those results. And absolutely right. The club was drifting. It will continue to drift. There's issues that are not getting addressed with certain star players. It wants a different manager to make some tough decisions, Robbie Earle, and to sell a couple of players. And it only needs 2 or 3 new signings, in different spots in the side. A manager that's strong with philosophy, and you could absolutely see some progression again, some inspiration again, and some improvement and development that looks right now that we are just not seeing it. And I don't care what happens at the weekend, because this is going to be the same thing, Rob. It's going to go up sometimes, it's going to go down other times.
I've just wrote the same thing, and listen to Manchester United fans listening in. I've been playing against United back in the days when we were players. I've been worked against Manchester United, now work in the media. I've been going to watch games of Manchester United. The Premier League is a better league when Manchester United are flying and challenging for the top. The Premier League is better. But I'm right almost at the point now where I would like them to lose at the weekend, because I want to see what this football club want to do. The draw just prolongs our conversation that in the end of the season we'll have the podcast. Is Ole good enough, or is he not good enough?
Well, that's the thing, Rob. That's my last question to you, because that's been your line for a few weeks, where you still can't.
I'm going the other way. I look at Bruno Fernandes now, Rob. They can't get him playing in the team. I see him.
Not right.
He's a great footballer. I saw Brendan Rodgers with a team of Leicester players, Rob, who have got a way of playing, who've got a personality, who have improved under a coach. I want to see. And I said last weekend, there's a football team in this United squad. It might not win the title, but there's a team in there. There's a team so much better than what we're seeing. So I want to see that team now. And so for Ole, unfortunately, I'd like a defeat at Everton. I'd like the pressure thing. And I don't want anyone to lose a job. And listen, he's been a legend at the football club. But it's time for Manchester United to find out, where are we? Who are we? Are we better than this kind of performances? Because this is almost becoming a bit of the norm, Rob, these kind of games.
The point that I want to make here, by the way, before we move on, we're going to move on in a couple minutes time to the Chelsea game, is that Ed Woodward has a big responsibility as well, Rob, in terms of the playing side of recruitment and the manager side of recruitment, and making the big decisions, which hasn't helped him. Now, again, there's enough players in that dressing room to be better than what we're seeing. But they were in a spot where they didn't well last season. They needed some improvement, some new talent to come in and to keep the development going. That didn't happen as well. But that's still not enough for me, in my opinion. It's both of them that are not good enough for those roles. And I wouldn't say, you know what, the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is okay. You get a good director of football in there, and he's the right man. He's not. He's not the right man, in my opinion. And this club will drift as long as he's in charge.
Well, it's interesting if Ed Woodward would make that kind of decision, Rob. It seems like he's supported and wants to back Ole, maybe because he doesn't put pressure on him spending money. But we'll have to wait and see. Massive game now for Manchester United. Early kick-off at Goodison Park against Everton. I think all eyes on that one. It just feels to me as though things are just turning a little bit at Manchester United. We'll see how that goes. Things are turning at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea Football Club, but I would say in a very positive way, Mr. Mustoe. Clean sheets continuing to go. Players brought into the squad with that $300 million are starting to have good effect. Balance starts to look right. Starting to, I think, find his shape, find his personnel. Pretty basic win. No real drama. It's Champions League. Let's go. Tell me what you want.
No drama. Comfortable. No. Another example. Maybe not as good as recent ones. I thought Rennes, by the way, obviously had man sent off. Was it around 40 minutes? A little harsher, I thought, on Delbert with a handball and the second yellow. Like, wow. Oh. And again, you get a look at the refereeing in the Champions League. It is very different. The handballs called are like, wow.
I mean, if it's anywhere on your hand, it's a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, So that was a little harsh. Yeah. But Rennes were bright. So Chelsea didn't have it all their own way when it was 11v11. But for the most part, you can see the stuff that we just talked about. You can't see the development. You see the progression. Yeah. Another clean sheet when Mendy and Thiago Silva's on the field. Yeah. And Thiago, I know that you did a really nice breakdown last weekend on defensively from Thiago Silva. Today I watched him closely and totally agree with he obviously his defensive side of it is the most important side. But I tell you what, he doesn't have to bring, Rob. He doesn't have to bring quality on the ball. Yeah, he doesn't have set off attacks. He doesn't have clean up mess and bring it down and knock it to the right ball. He comes out, he opens his body up, he pings it to the other side. He slaps the ball in between the lines to players that can get turned. It's an under appreciated trait for centre back to be that comfortable and that good. He's like a midfield player. He could play in midfield, and that sets off attacks. He's not making mistakes on the ball. He's not standing on the ball or getting caught on the ball, or giving terrible balls away. That's a big part of what he brings as well. And him and Mendy, again, another clean sheet, different shape, and that's what's good. It's not going to be 4-2-3-1 all the time. It was Jorginho with Mount and Kante with Ziyech. And Werner continues to look like a proper threat. I mean, he's a threat to any team he plays against because of his sharpness and his speed. He gets the penalty kick and sticks both of them in. Tammy Abraham gets the last goal, didn't he? Around 50 minutes. So it continues to be a good story. I mean, it's easier, of course, when you get 10 men and they get that help for a large part of the game. But again, you see these players getting the reps, getting the experiences, and it's starting to show.
Bit of a shame, and we have to mention Kai Havertz has tested positive, hasn't he, on the coronavirus, which is a bit of a shame now because he was just building some rhythm and a bit like Pulisic, he's going to be out, hopefully everything goes well, a couple of weeks before he gets back in the squad, and that's a bit disappointing. But I agree with you, same notes. I got my Thiago Silva note, Rob, and similar. I put, done the little breakdown against Burnley where it's very, basic Premier League, got to deal with it. Kind of wasn't really a problem. He was in a shirt and tie. But I thought today, as much as like his passing and his thing, the thing I'm getting about him is he's got a bit of a persona about him, and I think is helping Kurt Zouma. He's not a panicker. He's not, it's almost calming Kurt Zouma down a little bit because at times I think Kurt Zouma can be a little bit erratic, a bit like, the ball's coming in, it's a bit of hot potato. Looks like that's starting to rub off, and it's a really important part of grooming Kurt Zouma next to somebody who's got that, and he'll grow in that, and he'll start to, the Reece Jameses of the world, and maybe get Chilwell defending it on days when it's going to be more difficult. So I just think it is a captain, perfect. He got him off at 75 minutes, gets him rested up for the weekend again. He's through a few games. Just thought, for all the big signings and the young European talent they signed in the summer, his kind of personality might be a really important thing to Chelsea at the back. And as you say, clean sheets. And the goalkeeper now, who looks to be somebody just safe and secure. No histrionics, is there, with him? He doesn't go diving across his goal when he doesn't need to. Just looks a lot more calmer back there for me.
Yeah, and wasn't that always a problem, Robbie, Earle, with Chelsea? Like, we like what they're doing going forward, but defensively, they got to get better. And now that Chilwell is regular, I love Reece James. I think they're again with more time together, and then the Zoom and the Thiago might be the way that Frank goes for a long period of time with the goalkeeper behind, a little bit like Liverpool with Van Dijk and with the goalkeeper Alisson. It boosted the whole team, and that looks like it's happening with Chelsea with plenty of options in midfield and not so many options now with the players that you've mentioned got an issue. But Frank's got to be happy with the way it's going now, and they got Sheffield United, haven't they, on Saturday? Get through that one. They'll be in good shape when they won't get to the break. And Tammy Abraham, I just wanted to give him a little mention. So I think his first goal since the end of September. And just important that he stays around the scene, keeps scoring goals. He's going to be. There's times that Werner's threat's better from the wide, and there's time they're going to need a centre forward, and just the athleticism and that ability of Tammy to stretch it a back line. I think it's going to be important for those midfield players. So I'm really pleased he got his goal as well, because he was the main man last year and almost could be looking at things thinking, I ain't going to get a game here if things don't go well for me. Yeah, that's right. And it is something different. And that's what's good about the recruitment, Rob. I mean, Ziyech we mentioned him last time. He brings something different. Werner's something different. Something different. They are. And Kai Havertz again is more. He can do different things in different positions. So it looks really good right now for Chelsea. Okay, let's move it on to the next game. Robbie Earle.
Manchester City.
Close look at this one. Yeah, Man City 3, Olympiacos 0. First thing I think is worth mentioning. We're going to go from City to Liverpool, and we're going to talk about the game on Sunday. One of the themes is going to be centre forward and the striker situation. Now, Ferran Torres, the youngster, is something about him and his game. I thought he looked pretty comfy up there. I think he looks. I think he likes being a striker. I see him. He's in the centre of the goal all the time, Rob, and he's not a big guy, and he ain't going to score a lot, but he wants to be in and around the goals and in the middle. Took his goal really well, brings the ball in, into the back of the net. Jesus came on later, and he got the second goal and moved it and smashed into the roof of the net, and will be potentially starting at Sunday against Liverpool. But I just thought Ferran Torres, well done. Pep's it's a little bonus for Pep, Rob, because with Aguero and Jesus out, it is who do you play? And Sterling's done okay, but there's something. I mean, again, we'll see if this continues. But I just thought he played really well, which allows Sterling to play where I absolutely love him on the left hand side, and Mahrez to the right hand side. So Torres, I thought was pretty interesting.
Yes, and I did a little piece at the weekend where they played against Sheffield United, and he had a few chances, Rob, and it wasn't always maybe as clinical as you'd like. Not a centre forward, but what I thought about him is he almost plays a different kind of centre forward role. Maybe because he's not a centre forward, maybe because he's not totally trained in that position. But in a way, it causes a few problems. He's particularly quick over those first 2 or 3 yards. He can move the ball and get separation really quick, a bit Pulisic-like and all that, which is a real threat. Especially if defenders are a little bit bigger, he can change his weight on his foot quickly and change his direction. And as you say, I think it just gives Pep the position where he might not have to rush Jesus as much as you see his finishing power, and it's great to have a centre forward. Might be that you can just say, okay, I can go with an hour with Torres, and then
he might do it on Sunday.
Chuck him on, and then all of a sudden he's smart, he's bright, he's getting back to full fitness. He can get his goals. Would the worry be with City? I know you watched them, and I heard Pep after said he thought they were excellent first off. Said we, exceptional first off. Got a bit sloppy setting off and wasn't able to get the second goal till later. A little bit about what City have been this season so far, haven't they? It kind of sums up. Now, is that the lack of centre forward? Is that not being quite as hungry, as ruthless? Is it a combination of all those things?
Yeah, it's a combination of all those things, Rob. Because I my main notes here are it's almost total control. It was almost kind of old City where you put your opponent in a straitjacket. They can't do anything. They couldn't get out. And defensively, different players, Rob, right? It was Nathan Ake and John Stones that played. And, he managed to rest for the majority, the two centre-backs and Rodri that have been very, very good for Manchester City. But it's something, the signings of Ruben Diaz and the signing of Nathan Ake and the switch of Cancelo to left back where he looks really, really good. I don't know. There's something different. There's a different feel defensively now. And again, we know that's been the issue with City over the last year or so, is that defensively it's let them down. Well, even with changes, they look better. And they got behind with their lovely football so many times. It's just a finishing touch. It's just a finishing part of it all. Missing chances. The ruthless part that you're talking about, that's all that's lacking, Robbie Earle. That's all that's lacking. I tell you, they're looking a lot better than maybe the defensively was a question, and and with that being a lot more calmer and no drama and in control, and Cancelo and Walker staying back and doing a great job mostly, they look impressively better defensively, which is going to be a problem for the Premier League and for those big boys if they start taking the chances that they are creating.
And the City that we know will create those chances, and you feel as soon as they start taking those goals, and then if the other side gets good, it starts to feel like City getting back to something like the best. A couple of things I just wanted to touch on, and it was something I heard a debate, a bit of a radio debate, and I think Pep talked about it after. It was just the thing where he said, it was a good day. He got Jesus on. He managed to use all his 5 subs, rotate people. He's got 5 days of rest preparing for Liverpool. He said that's a great thing. And he was kind of saying, he was almost hinting, and I thought it makes a disappointment. I wanted to chuck it in our poddy. Like, have we missed a bit of a trick with the Premier League, not the 5 subs? Does it help teams? I know it slightly changed the game, and there's a little bit of maybe the rhythm changes. But I just, in this season that's condensed, in this season where, you know, the big teams are going weekend, midweek, weekend, you know, this has been, it's a toll, Rob. And, you know, muscle injuries are up and all those things.
47% or whatever,
yeah. In English football, are we a bit slow to these things? Are we a bit like, we're England, we'll play on it? Are we hurting ourselves in the teams? Because I just felt it's quite a valid point by Pep, and I know he has his views on different ways with the games, but I think he's got something here.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I mean, I don't like 5 subs in normal circumstances, but you know, it isn't normal. And these players, particularly the internationals that get a break but play 3 international games, and you're back to the Champions League and the Premier League. So on looking back at it now and what we're seeing right now, absolutely. Now, I don't know whether can they change it midway? Can the Premier? I mean, the Premier League can do anything. By the way, the Premier League can do anything. There's 16 votes out of 20. They can do anything. Yeah. But I think it is a good shout, and I think managers have said it a little bit. And you know, I was keen to get back to 3. But with the schedule being so tight, and realizing now the amount of football, etc., I think that would make a lot of sense to keep the 5 for just one more season with the amount of games, because we all want to see the best teams, Rob. We all want to see, you know, like there's so many muscle injuries, and it's
playing well. You want to see players not holding back, being able to go for things, and it was really interesting. The other thing Pep said, which just hit home, and again, I just thought something maybe we could mention to obviously. It's like he said, you know, my players will have a good rest and recovery day. They'll have a day off, he said, which is their most important thing. Then he said, we've got 2 days to prepare for Liverpool. And I thought, you know, again, sometimes people don't know how much that day off, you know, you recover mentally, physically, you know, you knock some bruises go, and you feel ready to go again. And I just thought, you know, it was a little insight into the professional game. And, you know, not all the time can you just keep hammering away on the training pitch, especially in these conditions with the games coming so thick and fast. A day off sometimes is as good as, if not better than a training day.
And now talk about days off and games off. You know, that's they've been perfect 9 points, pretty much qualified, really. Now we might see some more rotations, and Pep's got the opportunity to rest certain players. And we'll talk about it a little later, but they look in pretty good shape going into the game against Liverpool on Sunday.
Okay, let's move it on to Liverpool, because this was supposed to be, and I read all the stuff, heard about Atalanta, quarter-finalists last year in the Champions League, losing to PSG. 3rd place in Italy, 98 goals scored in Serie A last season. I mean, this was supposed to be the big test for Liverpool. Absolutely demoralised Atalanta. Reece Williams came in the centre-back position. Obviously, Nat Phillips, I don't think, registered. Curtis Jones played in midfield next to Henderson and Wijnaldum. And up front, Diogo Jota started ahead of Bobby Firmino. And I don't think anyone was looking at it alone, that, you know, Firmino gets a rest this time. It's what Liverpool and Klopp's been hoping for, to rest somebody. But we retain the quality, in maybe Minamino and Divock Origi have not been able to quite stay at that level. Get the sense with his goals before even today, Diogo Jota does. But... wow, what a bit of business. What a start to his Liverpool career. And what a great option he's become for you.
Oh, blimey. You know what, Rob? When this deal happened, it raised a few eyebrows. And,
for me.
And I was like, wow, like that's a lot of money for a guy that I've watched pretty close, actually. Over I think he had 17 championship goals. My 2 boys are into the fantasy. We looked at him. We talked about him, and they took him, and he didn't do great. Like the last couple of years, his numbers haven't been as much as what you thought it would have been. But talk about, I mean, again, it's early yet, but wouldn't, if he's that guy, like a Sadio Mane, Rob, from Southampton, that they picked out when people said, yeah, he's a pretty good player, and then he turned and he could jump a whole new level. If Diogo Jota is the same thing, where, yeah, he's a pretty good player, looks really good, young, and he can jump up to a level where he's scoring in so many, like that is special. That's special recruitment, Rob, to see that and to spot it and to quickly develop it, and to, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, his numbers right now: Premier League 5 appearances, 3 goals; Champions League, three appearances, 4 goals. All competitions, 10 appearances, 7 goals. Now you're starting to get straight into the, again, like it's only 10 games, Rob. But that's into your Manes and your Salah type of production. And, as a player that can play left, right, he can play midfield. And playing as a 9 or as a false 9. Yeah. There will be a conversation. There will be a thought process in Jurgen Klopp. And we can have a chat now about it now, Rob.
We're going there, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You've got to have that conversation.
So all right. So Sunday, City away. Are you tempted to start Jota, or a game like this? Are you thinking, you know what? Well done, mate, and fantastic stuff. Yeah. But I got to go and tried and tested, even though Firmino hasn't started off particularly well. Where are we with that decision?
Well, it's great, and we should go there, and then we can talk about a little bit more about a couple of other players after. I'm not. Diogo Jota's brilliant hat-trick, great addition. I wrote down here Michael Edwards is it the guy, the recruitment.
Football,
hands up, by the way. Not only the player, but also the personality, the humility, the thing he says after the game. I'm playing in the best team of my career, very giving to his teammates and all that, homework's been done, assessing his football, seeing a step up that I didn't realise he could be that kind of player. Again, I think the culture at the football club helps, and the rest of the people in and around the dressing room. So I'll get all that out the way. I still believe Bobby Firmino has a huge role with Liverpool and what they're going to do. And for me, Bobby Firmino might start the game at the weekend, and Diogo Jota can come off the bench, still be in a good shape, and get me goals if I need to.
You might be right, but I disagree. I think when you're in such a rich vein of form, and you're as confident, as lively, as sharp as maybe he's ever been, I think you start him. I think you start him, Rob. And if like later in the game it's difficult with Liverpool, for whatever reason, you can then go to your veteran and say, "Come on, Bobby Firmino, like we know what you can do. Now is your time." I just think when a player is hot, Rob, why not keep him going? Why not keep him going?
100%. And listen, it's not something I think lightly. Either decision I think can work. For me, and I'll tell you why I do, I think Firmino's movement within the first hour of the game will allow Jota to come on the pitch. I don't think if Jota starts or Jota's sub, anything's different in his head. I think if Firmino doesn't start, I think his head is slightly to turn. And I'm thinking about the players. I think for an hour of Firmino dragging people around and doing things, and then Jota coming on when the game opens up, to me, I still get Jota sharp as a needle, comes on, scores goals as he did last week and has shown all during this week. He's finishing, and I still get the best bit of Bobby, pulling Diaz around and working with Laporte in different ways. Now, what I would say about Jota, and it goes more to your argument, he brings a different element to Liverpool that's interesting. He gets into areas of the pitch. He runs in behind defenders, the places where Bobby never goes. Now, exactly. What I don't know with that, Rob, just before we say, is it's brilliant at the moment. What I know with Bobby is we've won titles.
I know.
Champions League. That's what I know.
I'll say it a different way.
Yeah.
And you started to go down that road. Laporte and Ruben Diaz. Who would they rather play against? I bet it would be Bobby Firmino that plays deeper. I ain't going to go in there. I don't need to go in there. I don't want this low center of gravity, quick, sharp, getting in behind, tricky feet, can take us on. That's a harder challenge for those centre backs. I think. I would bet that I'm really certain that they would rather see Firmino's name on that list. Okay. I think they'd rather.
I could question that. Listen, I'm not totally on either way. Listen, any decision is the right decision. And Klopp has paid a lot of money and is a lot smarter than us.
It's a lovely choice. Lovely choice.
It's a great choice. Yeah. For me, if I'm in charge of that situation, I think I'd go Bobby.
Yeah.
I'm not forgetting. I'm not going to forget what he's done, how he's done, what he's done, and all those things. I know he hasn't looked
current form, Rob. Current form. One kid's on fire.
Current form, you got to go Jota. Yeah, you got to go Jota. But I don't think Bobby lets me down in a way that it's like, So I still can get the best of Jota coming off. if it's half an hour, if it's half a game of whatever. But I get your point. And listen, I've been one of them. When you're fit and you're right, play people. I mean,
Firmino, we know what he does to those, how he enables and pulls people. So those wingers, Salah and Mane. Now, if you've got, and to the detriment of that, he hasn't put up big numbers, Bobby Firmino. Now, if there's a way that you can get another goal scorer in that three, they all scored. They all scored. If it means that Salah and Mane is still going to get opportunities to score, and you've got a goal scorer, that's pretty exciting, and that's what I'd like to see kind of play out. But experience, and of course, Firmino's important for those two wide players and everything else, the pressing and all that. It wouldn't be surprised.
Call for Klopp, isn't it? It's going to be an interesting call. Not often has he had to make these kind of decisions.
Yeah, I think he'll go. I think he'll go with Firmino, but I would love to see it, and I would play the guy that's in form, that's going to be sharp, and and that's what we'll see. And that's the game, Rob. And that's the game now we can kind of move on to and kind of predict and. Why don't you throw in some odds, my friend? Throw in some odds.
Our partners at PointsBet Sportsbook have thrown the odds for us. That Manchester City are favourite at minus 105. The draw's plus 300. So it's a 3-1 the draw. And Liverpool to win at plus 235. So not sure if it's home form. Not sure if it's Jesus back. Not sure if City keeping a few clean sheets. It just feels like our partners at PointsBet believe that Manchester City get this one done. Are you as convinced by that?
Actually, I am. I fancy City. I fancy City, Rob. After watching them now, watching both teams very closely over the last few weeks, I just think it's the football starting to come. The final bit, it's got to improve, but defensively better. The midfield players are in good fettle. They're in good form, whether it's Bernardo, De Bruyne is buzzing at the moment. Rodri is playing really well. Obviously Aguero is a miss. But Liverpool have got important players missing as well. It's at home. I think the feel good is starting to come back with Man City. I'd have them as favourites as well, and that's who I would think if there's a winner, I think it would be Manchester City, given. Liverpool have done great. They've ground out wins, have been playing brilliant, and they found ways to win. But City just are finding a little bit of rhythm right now, and I think they're going to be favourites for me. What do you think?
Do you know what? I kind of go with you on that. I just look at the centre-back partnership and young Williams to Champions League. Does Nat Phillips come back in? Joe Gomez has got a bit of growing up to do in that back too. I just wonder, and Joe. Jesus the lights coming back. If just that defensive, that kind of little fulcrum there is going to be strong enough for Liverpool against probably one of their best tests, the best attackers. And it's interesting to talk about goals because we've had some odds as well from points back in terms of those. So favourite to score anytime goal is Raheem Sterling plus 135. Mo Salah, surprisingly to me, is minus 135.
No, that makes him favourite, Rob, doesn't it? That makes him favourite. I thought that the minus was the odds.
Right. So
you're right. Yeah.
Mo Salah's favourite.
Minus 135. Yeah, he's favourite. And then you got Raheem Sterling at plus
135. Gabriel Jesus plus 135. Sadio Mane plus 165. Kevin De Bruyne 175. And Diogo Jota plus 210.
Where's Bobby Firmino? Where's Bobby Firmino on those odds, Robbie Earle?
Bobby doesn't score goals, he makes goals. Bobby's a maker. Be interesting if you knew Jota was starting, whether those odds would come down a little bit. Maybe, him not starting, it goes slightly against him.
Yeah.
Patrick,
I did whichever way you want to go here. Sadio Mane at plus 165 with PointsBet Sportsbook.
Yeah.
Is a good looking bet. But I don't know. I think it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating to get the odds on these games and the goal scorers and see how it pans out. We do expect, Robbie, these two to be at the top of the division, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
April, May.
Not quite with the distance they both had. Not quite at the same level, I don't think. I think the way the season started, the compression of the league and Champions League, all that, it's going to have its effect. But I still think it's about these two, and it's a little marker, isn't it? Sunday. It's a little chance for City to close that gap and put something all for Liverpool maybe to put. I think could it be 8 points gap if Liverpool win?
Yeah, I got my notes here for the game going into the game, and that's what one of the things I've got here is that it's a statement. It's a statement game. And my next line is, all right, City, how much do you want it? How much do you want it? How much are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to go toe-to-toe with Liverpool? Do you want to get back and win the Premier League title? You're playing better. You know,
well, both are similar, Rob. Both are similar, aren't they? For Liverpool, how much do you want to win it back again? You know, you've won games without playing brilliantly. You know, midweek was excellent, but okay, come on, show us. You know how much do you want to win it?
I just think that the difference there with that is that City are looking good and looking confident. So go on, then go and win the game. Where Liverpool, they obviously do want it, but they're a little bit shaken right now. They're not quite at their best defensively. They're trying to figure it out. And Matt Phillips and Reece Williams done a really good job defensively. But who goes into that game? You know, who's in midfield? It's with Fabinho being out and stuff. So that's what I'm thinking. They're favourites of the bookmakers. They're in good form. Defensively rested, by the way. Laporte and Diaz well rested for this game. You know, we'll see. We'll see who starts up front, Jesus or Ferran Torres, and it should be a good game. But it is an indicator. It's a little litmus test of where we're at right now, early season, and who might get a psychological edge early in this season.
Absolutely. Big game just before we get to the international break that leaves a little bit of a taste in the mouth for the team that loses, and certainly a bit of confidence to the team that wins. That's it, my friend. We're going to wrap up on what's been a good Champions League campaign for the English team so far, although Manchester United spoiled a 100% record of his team, now the only team to lose in the competition so far this season. On the back of poor results against the likes of Arsenal, poor performance against Arsenal, a lot of pressure now on that big game at Everton on the early kick-off on Saturday. And we'll review that. And also the big game Sunday, we talked about it, Manchester City hosting Liverpool. The big boys go toe-to-toe. So look out for our next podcast. That's Sunday, November the 8th. Before we head into what's going to be international break, as the Premier League just starts to take some shape. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the two Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Keep safe and keep healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe. Make sure you subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and always join us every weekend at 7 a.m. on NBCSN for Premier League mornings. Plus, make sure you subscribe to Peacock Premium as well, where you can watch exclusively live 175 games and same-day on-demand replays of all 380 Premier League matches as well.